What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Today, it is time for the Week 13 Premier League predictions. Quick shout out to Morongo and Adele, who left their predictions on the previous video, predicted quite a few of the results right, and the 4-1 Man United score. Unfortunately, they got it the wrong way around. No one in my comments actually predicted the upset of Watford to beat Man United, but if you do want a chance to be shouted out in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, please do leave your predictions down in the comments below. Now, we did have some decent tips in the previous game week. Both teams to score in the Newcastle Brentford game. That happened within like 2 minutes of each other, 10th and 11th minute. That was very, very cool. Liverpool to be winning at halftime and full-time against Arsenal, and Liverpool to be winning 1-0 at halftime as well. I thought that was very, very cool. Chelsea to win, all that good stuff, and Man City to win by 3 goals against Everton. This week, we're kicking it off with Arsenal up against Newcastle. Now, Arsenal and Newcastle have played each other 18 times in the last 10 years. Arsenal have won 17 of those 18 times. Absolutely unbelievable record. And at the Emirates, Arsenal are going to win. It's going to be a 2-0 win to the Gunners. Unfortunately, Newcastle won't get anything out of this game, and I'm going to go for a tip: Arsenal halftime, Arsenal full-time at 2.1. It's a tip that I definitely think should have happened against Watford when they won 1-0, even though it didn't. There was a missed penalty, there were chances, but I think against Newcastle at home, with the record Arsenal have, they're going to be able to win this one, and fairly convincingly as well. Now, after that, we have Crystal Palace up against Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard off to a flying start with Villa, winning 2-0 against Brighton, and Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace drawing 3-3 in the previous game week against Burnley. That's such a crazy result, but I do think this is going to be a very close game. I think it's actually going to be a draw. I think Aston Villa have a lot of confidence. I think Crystal Palace have a lot of confidence. I'm going to go for a 1-1, and my tip is both teams to score at 1.8. After that, we have Liverpool up against Southampton, the feeder club for Liverpool, some should say. But Liverpool against Southampton, I think it's going to be an absolutely convincing, unbelievable victory, or very believable, I suppose you could say, in terms of Liverpool and their recent form. I was going to go for a 5-0, but I've toned it down a little bit. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Liverpool. I've got 2 tips for you: Liverpool to score in both halves at 1.72, or Sadio Mane to score any time against his former club at 2.05. Combine Liverpool to win and Mane to score, it's only 2.3, so you might as well just go with Sadio Mane to score any time and not overcomplicate things. So I think Liverpool are going to be fairly convincing in that one there. Now, after that, we have Norwich up against Wolves. Dean Smith playing the right lineup for Norwich in his first game and getting a well-deserved win over Southampton. And I think this is going to be a very, very close game. However, Wolves have continued to impress with another win against West Ham in the league, which very few, if barely any people predicted, myself included. I think Norwich definitely could get something from this game. They'll believe they can get something from this game, but Wolves, although they haven't been scoring many, they've been fairly solid defensively. And although Norwich did get their second win last week, I think it was their second win, I don't think they're going to be able to breach this Wolves defense, as they do still have the lowest goals scored in the league this season. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Wolves, and my tip is Wolves to win at 2.05. I think the recent resurgence in Norwich's form and the slight home advantage has given, I would say, fairly generous odds to a Wolves win here, and they've definitely priced that in, but I do still think it's an offer that I cannot pass up. Wolves to win at 2.05. Now, after that, we have Brighton up against Leeds. Brighton can't buy a win. It's been over 2 months since they got over the line and got themselves a win, and Leeds threw away a first half lead against Tottenham, losing 2-1. Again, I don't see how either of these teams, who have been struggling to win games, can get a win. I think they'll cancel each other out, especially at the Amex Stadium. Brighton should be performing a little bit better. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but in case this ends 5-3 or something mental like that, my tip is going to be, once again, both teams to score at 1.75. I think those odds are fairly generous. Speaking of generous odds, coming up after that, we have Brentford up against Everton. Both teams really, really struggling in the league. Again, both teams struggling to keep clean sheets, which lends itself to me to a high-scoring game, especially at the Brentford Community Stadium. Brentford will look to score goals. Everton will see Brentford as a team that they can beat and finally get some points, and I think this lends itself really, really well to goals. Brentford just came off a 3-3 draw, so they conceded 3. Everton just lost 3-0, so they conceded 3. So my tip is going to be over 2.5 goals at 2.2. What? 2.2 for 3 or more goals in this game? That's outrageous. That could happen in the first half. My score prediction is going to be a 2-2 draw, but over 2.5 goals at 2.2. Obviously, it could not happen, but Over 2.5 goals, Brentford Everton, I would expect to be like 1.8. Something like that. 1.95 for under 2.5. But 2.2 for the overs. I mean, I can't look anywhere else. That's phenomenal. And that means you can watch the game, back goals, hopefully be entertained, of course, if all things go well. What a game that looks like it will be. Now, after that, we have Burnley up against Tottenham. Burnley scoring 3 goals. Tottenham coming back to win from behind against Leeds 2-1. I think this is going to be a very close game. And I see it being a 1-goal winning margin. Again, Tottenham rarely blow teams away and rarely win by more than 1 goal. Same with Burnley. If they are going to win, they rarely win by more than 1 goal. I'm going to go for that 1-goal win to Tottenham. 1-0, 2-1, take your pick. I'm going to go for 2-1 just because Burnley have been in better goal-scoring form as of late. So I'll give them a goal at Turf Moor. I think that's very likely. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Tottenham, and my tip is Tottenham to win at 1.95. I wouldn't call that a banker, but again, a supposed Big Six team to beat Burnley at 1.95. I can't look past that. I think this is a very similar sort of matchup to when Arsenal beat Burnley 1-0. So I think Tottenham will have enough with Antonio Conte to get the win, 2-1. Now, after that, we have Leicester up against Watford. Watford, phenomenal performance against Manchester United. They could have scored 8, and Leicester were soundly beaten by Chelsea at the King Power Stadium. And I can imagine the Leicester fans are really not happy with what's going on this season. There's potential unrest with Brendan Rodgers as manager. Is he going to go elsewhere? Who knows? Leicester will see this as a game to bounce back and try and get the win, but it won't be easy. Watford will score goals, so I think it's going to be high scoring. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win to Leicester, and my tip is Leicester to win and both teams to score. With Leicester's defence this season and Watford's resurgent attack in the odd game here and there, I don't see Leicester keeping a clean sheet. They've been really struggling defensively, but I think this is the game where Jamie Vardy clicks. I could see him getting 2 or more goals. I'm going to go for 3-2 and Leicester to win and both teams to score at 3.2. I think the odds are very, very cool. 3.2 odds, 3-2 scoreline. Match them up together. Now, after that, we have Manchester City up against West Ham. At the time of recording, Man City are due to play Paris Saint-Germain tonight in the Champions League, and I assume that means there's Europa League action for West Ham following that. I think this should be a comfortable enough win for Manchester City, but West Ham are the type of team that can finally trouble Man City's defence and get a goal, and that lends itself to goals overall. I think I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Man City, but my tip is over 2.5 goals at 1.53. I think that looks very cool. And now, the game of the week. It's Chelsea up against Manchester United. Carrick's at the wheel, 100% win rate. Listen, if you look, let's just take the 2 Champions League fixtures in isolation for a moment. Manchester United win 2-0 against Villarreal, at which they were second best for the first hour, and David De Gea kept them in the game. A mistake from Villarreal defensively enabled Man United to take the lead and then get a second goal as a result of that earlier lead. So don't let the scoreline flatter you. I saw Sky Sports say that that was an entirely different Man United. It was an entirely different performance. What a load of rubbish. They twisted it to say that for the first hour, 65 minutes, Man United were defensively sound and resolute. Whilst, yes, the keeper, I suppose, they gave away way too many chances. Villarreal weren't clinical. That was not a new Manchester United. It was exactly the same. That's been the story of their Champions League this season. They play terribly, and Ronaldo scores in the second half to win them the game. That's literally, it's the same exact Man United. It's more or less the same coaching staff as well. So, Sky Sports with the big English club bias there. And then you look at Chelsea's result against Juventus. They only needed a 2-0 win to go ahead of them in the group and most likely give themselves first place in the group. They didn't deserve to lose to Juventus when they did in the last meeting between the two, and they absolutely dominated them. It was 4-0, and I think that flattered Juventus, honestly. I watched the game. That was probably Reece James's best performance in a Chelsea shirt, and he's had many of them. He looked unreal. He looked unbelievable. So Chelsea are going to win this game at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea will win this game, and they haven't beaten United in the league in 4 years. This changes now. Chelsea are going to win. I'm going to go for a 3-0. I think defensively they've been unreal. Thiago Silva, Rudiger. I could name every single player on the Chelsea team sheet. Genuinely, they were all fantastic in the Champions League, and they've been amazing in the league as well. So I think Chelsea will win this. United could score, but if they do, that only plays into my tip more. My tip is Chelsea win and over 1.5 goals at 1.95. I am, in case you couldn't tell, thoroughly impressed by Thomas Tuchel and what he's done at Chelsea. And I mean, I rated Tuchel as a manager even before he went to Chelsea, and I was glad to see him in the Premier League. I think he's a really cool guy. but I think Chelsea are going to win this game convincingly. So that is going to do it for this video. Let me know what you thought of my predictions, and of course, leave your predictions down in the comments below. Subscribe, as we're getting very, very close to 19,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.